What happens when a nation entrusted with its allies' treasure abandons its promise, leaving history to haunt them both? Imagine a buried fortune, hidden in the shadows of a turbulent past, as nations clash and alliances fade. This is the story of Romania's gold reserve, a staggering 91 tons of wealth, lost in the chaos of World War I and the ensuing revolution. In 1916, as the Austro-Hungarian army stormed Bucharest, Queen Marie faced an impossible choice. To secure her nation's future, she agreed to send Romania's national treasures to the seemingly safe embrace of the Russian Empire. Alongside the gold, brilliant diamonds and invaluable museum artifacts were dispatched, safeguarded by the guarantees of Tsar Nicholas II. But just a year later, the fabric of stability unraveled. The October Revolution erupted, shaking Russia to its core, and casting a dark shadow over Romania's gold. Relations soured. Romania occupied Bessarabia, and in retaliation, the Soviet government severed diplomatic ties. By January 1919, the Council of People's Commissars declared, without a hint of remorse, that Romania's treasures were no longer their concern. Echoes of broken promises lingered in the air, as Romanian authorities took possession of Russian properties left on their soil. Hundreds of locomotives, thousands of railway cars, and even ships became pawns in a dangerous game, as significant assets were sold off or repurposed amid chaos, while countless valuables vanished through theft and fires. Questions lingered: would Romania ever reclaim its lost fortune? And what price would be paid for forgotten commitments? In the years following, tales of partial restorations emerged, illustrating a complicated dance between nations, alliances, and the relentless grip of history. As century-old discussions reignite, the drama continues, thick with suspense and unresolved tensions, leaving us to wonder what might lie ahead for both Romania and its elusive gold. The modern dialogue over these lost treasures offers a gripping insight into how history can shape the present, and how the echoes of the past still resonate across borders. Can trust be rebuilt, or is the treasure doomed to remain a symbol of betrayal? Amid the echoes of history, the fate of Romania's treasures continues to spark intrigue and debate. The question arises: what became of the 91.5 tons of gold, spirited away to Russia during World War I? The allure of this lost fortune haunts diplomats and treasure hunters alike, a story woven with threads of secrecy, betrayal, and political maneuvering. At the outset, Romania transferred its national treasures to Russia for safekeeping as the Austro-Hungarian forces advanced. This monumental decision, made in 1916 amid chaos, was supposed to safeguard the nation's wealth. Yet, as the tides of revolution swept through Russia, commitments dissolved like morning mist. Over time, remnants of these treasures vanished, sold, utilized by Romanian authorities, or appropriated by factions opposed to the Soviet regime. The shadows of theft and destruction lingered over warehouses, where rows of valuable assets met their untimely end in flames and plunder. As decades passed, flashes of hope emerged as diplomatic talks initiated the return of some Romanian cultural artifacts. During the 1930s, portions of the collection found their way back home, sparking a sense of relief. The Soviet Union, under various leaders, intermittently restored some archival and museum materials to Romania. Yet, the lion's share of the gold remained elusive, a haunting reminder of past promises. With the dawn of the 21st century, the matter resurfaced, igniting intense discussions. In 2003, a joint commission between Romania and Russia convened to address the fate of these valuables, yet tangible progress was conspicuously absent. Fast forward to March 2024, the European Parliament urged Russia to repatriate Romania's gold reserves, reigniting fervent debate. The call for 91.5 tons of gold, though politically charged and lacking legal force, bounced through media corridors, igniting passions and provoking intrigue. As of September 2025, the dialogue remains unresolved. Romania's insistence on the return of its golden legacy clashes with Russia's recounting of historical complexities orchestrated during the turbulent events of the early 20th century. The interplay of history and modern diplomacy continues to weave a tangled web, as the past refuses to be forgotten, and the quest for lost treasures presses on. How many more secrets lie hidden in the sands of time, waiting to be unearthed? The last time the issue was raised was in 2012 during a session of the Parliamentary Assembly of Europe. Bucharest was told that the matter had lost its relevance. Recently, with support from the European Parliament, Romania attempted to reassert its claim for the return of its treasures. The Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson, Maria Zakharova, elaborated on Moscow's stance. She pointed out that the Soviet Union had already granted significant amounts of valuable items to the Romanian government. In 1935, as a goodwill gesture, 17 train cars filled with over 1,400 tons of treasures from the Tsarist era were sent to Bucharest. Ironically, less than 6 years after this act, Romania joined forces with Nazi Germany to invade the Soviet Union. By 1949, Moscow had effectively written off almost all of Romania's debt from reparations for the damage caused during World War II. This originally involved $300 million, which today would approximate around $4 billion. Historical records show that the Soviet Union not only returned some of Romania's treasures but also forgave substantial debts incurred by Bucharest. Experts in subsequent decades indicated that if all of Romania's obligations to Russia and the Soviet Union were accounted for, the total could dwarf the value of the gold reserves transported in 1916 and 1917. Moreover, throughout the progression of Soviet-Romanian relations, Russia returned nearly the entirety of Romania's gold reserves and other valuables. Notably, records from Nicolae Ceausescu's diaries confirm that about 80% of the royal treasures were repatriated back to Romania during the years 1948 to 1949. In contemporary contexts, officials from Russia have reiterated their perspective on this matter. Imagine a hidden gold reserve weighing over 91 tons still stuck in a web of political claims and historical grievances. Can Romania ever reclaim what once belonged to it, or is it lost to a turbulent past? After a significant portion of Romania's gold reserve was repatriated in the late 1940s, a lingering question remained: what about the treasures that never returned? The chronicles reveal that Dmitry Medvedev, a notable figure, reminded the world of Romania's historical debts to the now-defunct Russian Empire. This wasn't merely a matter of treasures and losses, it was about the echoes of war and economic realities that shaped nations. After World War I, Romania accepted the terms shaped by turbulent politics. Reparations and obligations were weighed against the backdrop of shifting alliances and the devastation left behind. After World War II, the Soviet Union forgave much of Romania's debts, including reparations amounting to roughly $300 million at that time, equivalent to around $4 billion today. Fast forward to recent years, and the echoes of those past debts still resonate. The European Parliament found its voice once more, calling on Russia to return the gold sent during the chaos of World War I. Russia, however, maintained its stance, asserting that Romania had already received a substantial portion of these treasures. Moreover, historical agreements have settled many obligations, reflecting a complex web of diplomatic negotiations. Today, Russia's financial strategy thrives on its gold reserves. In response to sanctions from the US and allies, such as the freezing of dollar assets and disconnection from the SWIFT payment system, gold emerged as an essential instrument for international transactions. According to the Canadian publication Gold Eagle, the Central Bank of Russia has been aggressively acquiring gold while reducing American bonds in its portfolio, leading to the world's largest gold and currency reserves. This strategy enabled Russia to utilize its gold for international dealings, exchanges, and financial maneuvering amidst a growing global shortage of precious metals. As gold valuations soared, one thing became clear: this asset holds strategic significance for Russia, especially under the current constraints and sanctions. But isn't it ironic? In the grand theater of international relations, a century-old treasure sparked a dynamic of economic dependency and diplomatic tension. How long can these historical questions linger before they boil over into more than just political rhetoric? As the dialogue continues, time will tell whether Romania's gold will remain a relic of the past or become a bargaining chip for future relations. Imagine a time when history hung in the balance, yet the echoes of decisions made resonate through the ages. In 1916, as the tumult of war rumbled through Romania, national treasures embarked on a treacherous journey to Russia for safekeeping. Who would have guessed that this desperate act of preservation would reveal a web of diplomatic intricacies that stretch across the decades? The Golden Trove, consisting of precious metals and invaluable artifacts, was sent off amidst the chaos of advancing Austro-Hungarian forces. Yet, in the wake of the Russian Revolution and the ensuing global conflict, everything changed. The fate of those treasures became the subject of heated debates as legal claims blurred. Documents reveal that some gold lay in Russian custody for years, sparking a prolonged argument over rightful ownership. What price do nations pay when history twists fate? Fast forward to the post-war era, where the role of gold morphed from mere artifact to a pivotal element in the landscape of international diplomacy. The Soviet Union utilized the return of Romanian gold as a strategic gesture to build bridges of reconciliation with Bucharest. The exchanges in 1935 and 1950 were not just about the treasures, they encapsulated goodwill amidst the shifting alliances of a fractured world. Yet, behind these thoughtful transactions lay unresolved financial puzzles and reparations owed from World War II, revealing a complex dance of historical obligations and political maneuvering. How do countries weigh such heavy legacies against pressing modern realities? In today's world, the significance of gold grows ever more pronounced, especially following the imposition of international sanctions. Frozen dollar assets and restrictions on transactions via the international banking system have driven Russia to strategically rely on its gold reserves as a bastion of financial stability. This evolution has allowed the Central Bank of Russia to navigate liquidity, engage in international dealings, and mitigate dependence on foreign currencies. As the stakes rise in the ongoing dialogue over Romanian treasures lost and found, the essence of these discussions continues to shape diplomatic relations in Europe. Is it possible that the unresolved questions surrounding these artifacts could influence the course of nations? The echoes of 1916 challenge us to reflect. What does it mean to claim a legacy steeped in gold while maneuvering through the delicate politics of today? The past is alive in its implications, and the quest for resolution is far from over. In the last segment, we explored how Russia's substantial gold reserves, developed into one of the world's largest, have become essential for financial stability. This strategy has enabled the central bank to manage liquidity, conduct international transactions, and mitigate risks linked to foreign currency reliance. Recent assessments by international analysts underline a crucial point: the strategic handling of gold, paired with asset diversification, has fortified economic resilience under sanctions. Moreover, the lingering historical issues tied to Romanian gold continue to shape diplomatic ties between Russia and European nations. The revival of these discussions by the European Parliament and Romanian officials over recent years highlights that the questions surrounding historical obligations, reparations, and cultural artifacts remain firmly on the international agenda. Recognizing this, the approach to gold repatriation, debt resolution, and negotiations reveals the necessity for a comprehensive strategy. This approach intertwines historical examination with contemporary legal and financial frameworks, reflecting the evolving landscape of international law and economic conditions. Is history repeating itself, or are the lessons learned from past negotiations merely echoes in the court of modern diplomacy? As we stand at this crossroads, with tensions between historical claims and contemporary politics, the fate of these treasures may hinge on more than just legal arguments or currency evaluations. It could very well depend on how willing nations are to confront their past. Crafting a future that reconciles history with the delicate balance of modern geopolitics.